Yeah, we are live now. Welcome everyone to another amazing session right now. Four persons are live already. These guys
Wow.
are on fire. Ladies, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. We have Bogo Ennis in the room. Bogo, how you doing?
I'm
Can I
fine,
be
thank
Thailand
you.
today?
Thailand is fine, thank you so much.
Can you tell
How
us the food
is
you ate today? I know it's already it's night already. So what did you eat today? Tell us the special food you ate, or did you eat Nigeria food in Thailand today?
is rice? I ate rice and fish, and this night, like this evening, I ate bread. So
Oh, it's
nothing out of
breaking.
the usual.
I think it's breaking somehow.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I think it's better. Did you say you ate rice?
Yes, rice. Nothing out of the usual.
I was expecting you to tell us the Thailand food you ate, and we don't know. Do you know how to eat their food already?
Yeah.
Like
Not
which
not a
one is
lot
your
of it.
favorite?
I would say like it's like noodles, but rice is the main food here anyway.
Oh, they eat
Rice is
rice.
Yeah, because they like produce rice. So rice is the main food. They use rice to do many kinds of things. So it's still rice.
Okay, so they eat rice. What do they used to eat their rice?
Okay, that's the funny part. They eat it with some sort of sauce, but many times it's just like because they mostly eat like sticky rice, so rice and chicken. They don't have
Okay,
stew in that sense, yeah.
rice and chicken, no stew.
No stew.
Ha! I don't understand. Ladies, can you hear Gogo? And they eat rice and chicken in Thailand with no stew. I don't understand. Please, how do they eat it? Like they put the rice inside
Because
the mouth.
the rice
They now
itself
add
is
chicken.
very sweet.
The what?
The rice itself is very sweet. So
Oh,
I
it's different from
think
our Nigerian rice.
it's not different, probably the way they cook it. So most times it's
Oh,
like sticky. It's sticky, so it's really nice on its own. So you can just
oh.
put like ketchup on it, but there's no traditional stew in that sense.
So we are the chief and the whatever of stew
Just
in
yeah,
Nigeria.
yeah,
Interesting. In fact, I love to know so that when I want to start traveling to different countries, I know what to expect. They go and give me
yeah,
that rice without stew. Rice and chicken
yeah.
without
Then we
stew.
ask, yeah,
Ah!
yeah.
Oh my God, interesting. Joy says, I wonder how it will taste. Me too, I'm already wondering. When I read this book, Ikigai, um, I was so fascinated about the lifestyle of the Okinawans in Japan. I'm like, anytime I go to Japan, I must visit those people. So
Oh,
when I come to Thailand, as God will help me, whether through ministry or through coaching, I will come and eat rice and chicken
no
without
stew.
stew. Interesting. Thank you so much for joining us today. This
Thank
promises to be an awesome conversation by God's grace. This is the Focus Village Summit. And thank you so much for also saying yes to this. So you're going to introduce yourself, tell us what you do, and any other thing you'd like to share. Then we'll take the conversation from there. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. So, my name is Jesu Bogo Ennis. I'm a productivity coach and the founder of Gifted Brain Academy. I'm passionate about helping students harness the potential of their brains. So, I talk about how students can excel academically. I train young people, teenagers. That's really what I'm passionate about. Outside of that, I'm also a grad student of chemistry.
Hmm. Chemical student. Interesting. James Bogo, are you with your earpiece like this?
No.
Oh, I see why it's breaking. Can you get that connected? You have one around?
Okay.
Do you
So
have one
it's
around?
breaking like the network or my voice.
You have to use the earpiece because the app requires that so you can flow well. Do you have anyone
Okay.
around?
Yes, I do. Let me try to get that
Please connect it.
set.
All right, people. Are you ready? Ready, ready. If you are ready, type I am ready in the comments. I am ready, ready, ready. Mm. Joyce, when I come over to Cameroon, I want to eat kati kati. That's the one I know so much. I know there's one they call eru and all the different names. I want to eat them as well. I'm not a foodie, but I love adventure. I love to taste new things and just see the different culture and what people do. I love it. And when you come over to Nigeria, I also do something related to what I eat here. I just love to connect to people from different walks of life to see what they do. I love that. Pretty much a spontaneous person. I'm not rigid, so I love to learn. Just Bogo, are you ready for us?
Yes, can you hear me now?
You see, it's Clara. I'm telling you.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So let's take this to the next level. We're going to be talking about our future. Mm. Starting early, making decisions early. That's what we're going to be discussing now. If you're a young person in the room, this is for you. If you're also an older person, it's okay. The day you wake up, they say that's the day your own journey begins. So you can start making the decision right now. No more hesitations after this conversation. I'd like to type that in the comments. No more hesitations. So we're going to ask Jesugbogo. I think while I was having a conversation with her, I was like, young lady, you are doing chemistry. How is chemistry now connected to productivity coaching? I don't understand. Should we even start the conversation from there, Jesugbogo? Where is the relationship? How did you find your bearing around this? Because we're saying your future is not by accident, right? We need to be able to make a decision right now. So let me ask you, what is the difference between living life by design versus living life by default? Because what you are doing now, I believe this is design. You're designing your future to ensure that it is able to fit into the perfect picture that you want to experience. So tell me, what does it mean to living life by design versus living life by default? Can you distinguish that for us?
Okay, so I would say living life by design versus living life by default would be the difference would be being intentional, because when you're living life by default, it means you're just taking whatever life throws at you. You're just going as the flow, I mean, as life goes. In that sense, you're not taking time to intentionally stop, reflect, and check how you want life, what you really want out of life, in that sense. So I'll say that's the difference between living life by design and default. So I've explained living life by default, right? So living life by divine would be by design would be the opposite, which is being intentional, and it doesn't have to be so big in that sense. It's just like being very reflective, setting goals, then at each point stopping to see how well you are doing, to know what needs to be improved, or like if you have to even redirect in that sense. So in my journey, I would say some ways that I have been intentional about living my life by design is, I would say some of the things that while I was younger I had to do, especially especially when there were things that my parents did not really agree with. So
Mm,
the typical Nigerian parents want you to just stay in school, focus on your academics, come out as the best, don't waste their money and all of that. So one way I
exactly.
started living life by design, right from even I would say right from like maybe secondary school, but most especially senior secondary, like from that SS1, was when I started taking ownership of my decisions, my actions. I started wanting to I wanted things to be better for me, and then there was then a lot of friction when I got to the university, and I wanted to, take on activities that I felt they are good for me. I want to be part of this. But then telling my dad would be, he would basically not agree with it. So at that point, I knew that this was me being very intentional to
Mm.
get what I wanted. So some of the activities are some of the things that I do on the side now, which are the things I'm passionate about, which is tutoring students, teaching, visiting schools. So that was something my dad was not very um he
Comfortable with.
didn't agree to, yeah, because he just wanted me to focus on my academics. He thought that okay, anything that was distracting, that's not what I sent you to school for. So I would say that's some of the ways, some those are some of the ways you can live life by design.
Interesting. Like as you were talking, I just reminded me of my own personal experience being in school and very serious in church. Serious in
Exactly.
church. In fact, I was sharing with people the other day that I used to go to church except on Mondays. I used to go to church 6 days a week except on Mondays. As a student too, as I'm leaving the school campus, I'm going to church either for choir rehearsals, for Sunday school rehearsals, for maybe midweek services, different things. And I realized that most of the things that I do today actually started from there because I deployed myself in
Exactly.
that sense. So I think
Exactly.
someone listening right now should also begin to intentionally take out the point to say that many a times the things that we are passionate about, the places we get to deploy ourselves, are usually the refining pots, the refining points, more like the incubators that sort of helps to refine us to bring out the genius and the brilliance in us. Especially for you as a person, I think from what you're sharing, Jesse Bogo, it seems like you are also a spontaneous person like myself. Like you don't like rigidity. You want to be flexible. You want to learn, you want to interact, you want to see new things for yourself. And that is very powerful. It's also very pertinent to a person who is on a journey of purpose. And I really love that you shared. Like, do you still go to schools now in Thailand? Or you
Yes.
were doing that in Nigeria? You go to schools in Thailand.
No, 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 no. Sorry, no. I didn't get that.
Okay. Okay, when you were in Nigeria, you were going to schools.
Yes, yes. And during my service.
Interesting. So do you intend to continue something like that? Or do you still do that by the side as a productivity coach? Is it part of what you do?
Okay, so yes, I do that by the side as the founder of Gifted Brain. So
Mm,
I tutor students online now, um,
okay.
for the jam and just generally bringing young people together. Then I also lead a major project that I started in Nigeria as well, which is debate for secondary schools. So
Okay.
we had that edition last year, and we are planning another one this year.
Did you do it online as well?
No, it's physical, but I lead the
Okay, you
project.
travel back to Nigeria to do that
No, I lead I lead the project
from here.
through
Okay,
the help
from
of my team. Yes,
okay, okay, interesting. So I think I really love the way you are thinking right now. So it means that you can be where you are and still have team members in different countries that can do this project where you can just lead from where you are. I think I love that pretty much. And I think when you were talking, you wanted to start breaking down. You wanted to start breaking as a productivity coach that you are. You wanted to start breaking down what it truly means to be more intentional, to begin to live life by design. And then you spoke about the fact that we have to be very reflective. I think you
yes.
mentioned a couple of things again. Setting goals. You spoke about setting goals. Can you just give us 5 points? Um, 5 points that you think someone who wants to begin to live life by design can look into? Like you have mentioned, being reflective, setting goals. Are there other things that we want to look at for to help us to begin to live life by design that you'd like to share with us?
Okay. Yes, I think being reflective. I mean, it starts from setting goals. So even if
Okay,
you're not very sure of, I mean, it may not be clear to you what you want to achieve or what you want to get out of life, especially when you are still young. I mean, I also don't have everything clear to me right now, but it's still important to set goals, at least for the for a particular year or some months ahead, or just what you can envision. Try to break it down into goals. Then, when you set those goals, it would help you to be reflective, because by the time you are being reflective, you are reflecting on the things that you probably said you would do,
mm,
and you probably didn't do them. You're reflecting on what you said, so that way you're able to track what's the things you
the
said you would
progress.
do and you did not do. and then you're
Mm,
also able to know how far you've gone. So I would say um, another thing I would add to that is journaling, which
mm,
maybe can still fall under setting goals. Journaling is something that have helped me a lot. So when I was younger and I didn't even really understand, I mean, the whole everything that goes into setting smart goals, right? I just used to write a lot what I wish I want to make out of life, what I wish to become, something like that. So I'll just write, oh, I want to be the first position in class, I want to come out with a good grade, I want to graduate as the best student, things like that. And I just write them down, and I I may come across the book like a year after or some months later, and then I see those things I wrote down, and I discover that, oh, I've actually achieved some of these things. And then
mm,
it's made me realize that I'm actually on track, even though I wasn't checking them time to time. I'm saying I wasn't checking them regularly because I didn't know some of the things I know now in terms of framework, tools, and being very intentional. But I just usually write them down, and then you find out that somehow you are working on them, you are achieving them. And then another thing that happens when I go through those things is I discovered how I was thinking, say, like the year before, and how I'm thinking now. So some things would have been different. Some things I said I want to do, I'm looking at them again and I'm wondering, why did I say I wanted to achieve this, or why did I say I wanted to do this? So I think gradually you begin to when you are you are reflective like that, you begin to shape. I think it begins to make more sense over time. As time goes on, it begins to make more sense. Things begin to come together. So I think those are the three I
interesting.
would say:
Okay.
setting goals,
Set goals,
which would
be
help you to be
reflective,
reflective, and then
and then journal
journal a
your
lot.
thoughts. It's
Yes, journal your
beautiful.
thoughts.
I think I love
Yes,
that part. Mm. I love that part. Like I would always say that thoughts do break into action, and action is what becomes a habit over time, and a habit can become what a character. So if you keep journaling and you keep reflecting, like you said, it will also help you to refine your goals over time. If you find
yes,
your goals,
yes,
you
yes.
know what to do again and what not to do. Sometimes you can even be walking on the
Yes.
road and you're just talking to yourself. Those are
Yeah,
all part
yeah,
of the journey.
exactly.
I love it. So I want to ask you, as a young person yourself, what would you say has been the most beautiful decision that you've ever made on this journey? And I need you to also relate that back to the decision, the most beautiful decision you think a young person can ever make at a tender age, maybe as a teen or as a young person, as a young lady. What is that one decision you think that they can really make? Because we're talking about living life by design or knowing fully well that your future is not an accident. So what is that one decision? Because I know that our decision decides our realities, our decision decides our future. Many people are stuck today because they do not know how to make powerful decisions. It doesn't matter your age, oh, trust me, you can be 50 and be something else. Like someone will be like, you're not supposed to just do it this way because you don't know. So I like to ask you, what is that most beautiful decision you've made over time that's so powerful right now? You think you would also advise other young people to make?
Okay, so I was reflecting on this recently because of a movie I watched, and I was reflecting back to my teenage years. And honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is the decision around sexual purity. I think that's important, especially
Mm,
since this is a women summit. So I was reflecting back to my teenage years, and I was just glad that I made the decision to be, you know, be sexually pure, to please God, and to keep my body. I think that's one important decision because there's a way that it's getting into you know um, things like that, like being impure. It's I think it messes up with the mind of a young person, and it
okay.
then puts you on another journey of like having to heal from that. So I can tell a
Mm,
bit of that because I also struggled with temptation and addiction as well in that sense. So I just imagine that if I said yes, or if I didn't, keep myself in that sense, it should have been a whole lot more harder, I guess. So that's one thing I would say. Then the second decision, important decision that I which I can still tie back, is my community and
Mm,
friendships. Very important. So the reason why I know, okay, I don't want to do this, this is what I should be doing, is because of the people that are around me, kind of people that are around me.
mm,
There are people that are also goal driven, that are ambitious. They also want to do the right thing. They also want to please God. So it makes it very easy to do the right thing as well, because I mean, an enabling community, which I intentionally built, I would say,
mm, mm,
right, especially from the university. Well, I'll say some of them came to me, but then I maintained them because I could have discarded them.
mm. There's a lot you have actually shared here that I really love us to break down. I know we still have 38 minutes to go. Um, you have said, while you were talking, I've never really thought about it this way, but you brought light to something that I really want us to break down. If possible, sexual purity, that a lot of young people are messed up today. At some point, they were distracted, they allowed themselves to go into a relationship that weren't necessary, and then they got messed up. And now you are messed up, you are distracted. You no longer focus on your goals. You are looking at a way to now begin to realign yourself back.
Yeah.
Tell us about your story of addiction. How were you able to manage that season? And as much as you can share, how were you able to manage that season? And how were you able to come out of it by still maintaining that purity? Because a lot of people go into addiction and they never come out of it. How were you able to maintain, and how long did it take you to be able to, go through that phase that you can still talk about the fact that it is possible for someone to live pure?
Okay, I'm trying to reflect back a bit now. So,
Like,
one thing that helped me during that phase was,
mm,
being honest, is the restrictions I had from home.
was it from your parents or community?
I would say community, not just my parents. Maybe right
Okay.
from home, and then when I was in the university, it transferred to like the community. So, like I said, when you resume in 100 level, there, should I say, both the good
Mm,
and the bad groups are trying to catch you young. So, fortunately
mm,
for me, the good groups, caught me young, and that those kind of groups, that group was, they were very intentional. So I would say, that restriction in terms of always following up, checking up on me, it's so even if I would say I didn't have the freedom or as much to explore, which now that I reflect, I'm grateful for that. Yeah. So, but now that I am, um, okay, so that's one thing that, I mean, if I'm being honest, it really helped me to that phase. So I knew that the addiction, since I did not have the freedom to explore like with a real person, I had to just deal with the secret sin, right? So it was then left to the secret sin. And then managing the secret sin, one thing that helped me was I was able to open up to um, a an elderly person in school then. Is like a pastor, yes, for young teenagers and young people. So he was able to help me through that period as well, guide me. And basically what we're doing together is going back to the word, always studying the word of God, and going back to building healthy habits. So it wasn't an easy period. It took me about, when I reflected to write the book, I counted like about 6 years, because it started when I was much younger before I got into the university. So while I was in the
mm,
university, let's say till like until my third year, I was still struggling. And so when I even released the book while I was still on campus, it was quite awkward because there are people that knew me. Like, oh, so you're doing all of this and you're struggling with this, all of that. But yes, those were the things that helped me. So and then being
The
intentional
right
to keep
community.
trying. Yes, to keep trying and not give up.
Mm. Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. I think it's breaking. I'm struggling to hear you. I'm struggling to hear. I don't know if it's from my end. People, can you hear Jessibogo? Can you still hear? I think your name even left the. Can you log possibly? Can you speak up? Let's see.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay, it's better now. It's better. Okay, so you have said something about community. You have spoken about the fact that you did also you had guardians, so there was no room for exploration, and a whole lot actually happened. That's quite important. So from what you have shared now, it has also opened a lot of people's eyes um, to say that most people are distracted today. They are not focused because of their past, what they've dabbled into in the past that messed up their mind. I think the reason the Bible says, guard your heart with all diligence, because out of
Intelligence
it are the issues
going
of
to
life.
investigation.
So they've interacted with things that right now they're struggling with. I remember many years ago, as a young girl, my pastor would always call us and tell us, don't have anything to do with man, don't have anything to do with relationship, because when you get married, it's going to mess you up. We start going deep and telling us certain things that will begin to happen. We didn't understand what it meant. All right, but now as an adult, I understand better. And I really want to say to every woman here, every young lady here, I need you to take this to heart. Most of the things that we are interacting with are messing us up, and we've got to be very intentional. That the reason most of us are distracted because women we carry a lot of baggages, and once our hearts are messed up because we are very emotional, we find it very difficult to retrace our steps. We find it very difficult to retrace our steps. Many people don't even go at the reason Mrs. Bogo was able to navigate that journey or that season of her life. She said she was in a wonderful community and identity circle, and then she was able to speak up. Now, she
Yes.
speaking up wasn't even enough. She was ready to do the work. She wrote a book. She was able to speak out. Because one thing we also have to understand is that sin thrives in isolation. It thrives in secrecy. So she was able to share her experience. And with that, even if you share her, say, so you were doing this, I thought you're a woman of God. It's okay, you too, you have your own. But she has been able to deliver herself from that path. Just sharing her experience alone in the open, a lot of people would never go close, would listen to her and learn from it. And she too will never go close to such a thing in her life again, even if it eventually wants to come. You see, that book she has written, she's sharing with her community, has made her to be more accountable. Do you see that? So many a times, the accountability we are looking for, we have to learn to deliberately begin to deploy ourselves on that path of accountability. We have to learn to begin to deliberately deploy ourselves. Because if you do not know how to be more accountable, this is what we call pacting. P-A-C-T. Pacting with your name. She just pacted with her name. Sharing her story with a heightened level of accountability to the community. And that was what led to transformation. All right. Thank you so much, Jesibogo. Now, I want to ask you, when we say our future is not by accident, can you tell us how we can begin to sort of align our present planning or conditioning with the future that we are seeking for. Sometimes we can get so lost in the future that we're thinking about the future. And right now we don't really take into cognizance some of the things we need to begin to put into consideration, like our planning and everything we need. Because we're talking about the focused woman. How have you been able to create that balance? That even though you have seen a glorious and a beautiful future, but you are still very much present with the now to say, I want to balance now with the future that I'm also seeking for so that I can get the results, so I can begin to live that life. So, what is your advice to a woman out there on how to really create this sort of balance in their lives to ensure that even though you know that there is a beautiful future out there, how do you balance planning for the future versus looking into your now to ensure that there is a balance. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Balancing the future and while still being able to be present in the now.
Yeah.
Um, I would say one way that because I experienced this recently, like very, very, very recently, and I had to. Once you notice that there's that imbalance, probably you are focusing. I think it can be both ways. It's either you're focusing too much on the future and you're not being present, or you are too present without focusing on the future. So
Mm,
once you discover that imbalance, you have to call yourself back. I mean, it's one thing
mm,
to be aware of it. The first step is being aware. So once you discover that imbalance, then call yourself back. So in my situation, it was, I think, the one you explained, focusing too much on the future, which was creating anxiety and fear, and almost forgetting the now, which is my current situation. And then I had
mm,
to, just remind myself that it is still my current actions that would create the future. So if
mm,
I focus too much on the future and it causes me to make costly mistakes in the now, then
mm,
the future would even be worse than whatever future I'm thinking about that is giving me anxiety, or
mm.
the great future I'm thinking about that is making me want to like over
Be
ambitious
anxious.
now.
Mm,
Yes, it's not even anxious. There's this other part of like being over ambitious. So you've seen the glorious future
okay.
ahead. You want to, you know that okay, you can become this, you can become that, and then that fiction is making you do too much now, and then it causes that
Okay.
imbalance. Yes, so
Okay.
and then I think you really need to check it, because in my case now it was coming from, I it went on for like a few days, 3 days, 4 days, and when it was going longer than that, I had to really call myself back and talk to myself. Like you said, you can be walking on the road. I can remember that I was walking on the road and I was talking to myself, and I said this can't continue. And so I had to check where was this coming from, and I discovered one place it was coming from was comparison, and it was coming from comparison with people online, and I
Mm,
could pinpoint the exact time, like the exact account, someone's account I saw that sort of triggered it. So I had to be very self-aware of what caused it and where it was, like why I was having all of that. And then after doing that, I then
it's
like called
breaking.
myself back to order. Can you hear me?
Are you there?
Can you hear me? Where's
It's
network?
okay. You are back.
Wow.
You're back.
I, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't even know that the network threw
And
me
we were
out or something.
getting signal. Mm.
Okay.
You were
So
talking
I
about
was saying, yes, one way, once you are aware of the problem, the cause, or whatever triggered it, then the next thing you need to
mm,
do is, uh, for me, it was praying. Yeah, so
okay.
pray because then I remembered, and then, uh, listen to things that would strengthen your faith. Yes, generally, I
Mm,
would say that listen to things that, because fear, anxiety is coming from a place of insecurity, and then as a
mm,
Christian, it's coming from a place of lack of trust in God, faith, like strong faith in God. So uh, pray for me, pray, and then strengthen your faith by watch what you are listening to. Are you listening to things that are weakening your faith, making you afraid, and work on all of that. Then journal.
okay. I think I've heard you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Be very much aware and create that balance. Listen to messages that will inspire you. Possibly, you can also get a coach, get a mentor, someone that can help you navigate that season, because we have different seasons of our life. So there are some seasons you may not even know how to navigate certain things. You can speak to someone and then journal,
Yeah.
pray, and do all the things you have to do best, which is quite fascinating. So now you spoke about the fact that even when you try to do certain things like going to school, talking to people, your dad will say, that is not why I send you to school. Better read your book and pass your exams. Now, what would you say to another young woman out there who is also very much fascinated about exploring their passion, exploring the things that interest them, and they're looking forward to using that avenue to really design a future that they envisage? What would you say to them if if they are also currently living in an environment that does not permit that? Now it goes beyond even young people. There are some people, their husband or their wives will not allow them. Okay, we are women here. Their husband will not allow them to do certain things. I was at an event last week and this lady was asking a question. She said that since she married her husband, she would tell her husband, I want to do this. The husband would say, no, 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 no. You are not, don't do that. Sit down, take care of the children, that kind of a thing. And it happens to a lot of people. Some people may not be that. Maybe that the person is giving you silent treatment. Maybe that the person is now emotionally blackmailing you, pulling
Yeah.
you down, talking you out of your dreams and all of that. So when someone is in such environment for you, how do you navigate, since you've also had it as a first-hand experience as well? How did you navigate that encounter? I think the red light is
Um,
even fine now. Go ahead.
okay. So I would start by saying, because I think this is quite sensitive, I'll start by
Mm,
saying it's an actual challenge, it's a real challenge. And it's something that I look back now and um, I still feel, I still feel all of it in terms of how it makes me feel. So I would say, first thing is admit to yourself that it's an actual challenge and it's probably not allowing you do as much as you can. I think this is important because it would reduce comparison. So
mm,
it was a big issue for me, and I'll say it's still like an issue for my siblings, for my siblings right now. So admit to yourself that this is your peculiar situation. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Admit to yourself that your situation is peculiar. So that you don't expect too much than is possible from yourself. So once
okay.
you do that, then think positively. Try to look on the bright side of the situation. There's At the end of the day, we can only control what what is within our power to control. We cannot control like the external things. So
Mm,
the things that are out of our control, we should not dwell on them.
mm,
So
mm,
think positively, look on the bright side. This is important because then you'll be able to, when you're thinking positively about the situation, you'll be able to find, gray areas or places where you can, opportunities, be able to find opportunities. You'll be able to
mm,
see things that you're probably not seeing before. But if you're always
mm,
thinking bad about it and you probably just allow that to limit you, then you'll be stuck. So at the end of the day, it's still your life, and you have to think positively because it would make you see things bigger. So after that, then I believe from this point you begin to see opportunities. You begin to have ideas, ways that you
mm,
can, leverage, ways that you can go about it, like walk around the situation. So some ways that I was able to walk around it was, I think I learned to be more tactical in how if I really want something, maybe I really want to go for, say, a conference, and I know my dad would most likely disagree. I would first ask myself many times, do I really want this? And if I'm determined, then I would find ways to go about it. Maybe the way I would ask would be different, the way I would talk about it, maybe negotiate. It's just finding ways to work around it. Maybe I would be the best daughter, for that week. in the house. Yeah, to win his favor so that by the time I ask, he would agree to it. So basically finding ways around it. Then for my during my service, I just had the idea, okay, he didn't want me to go far away for my service. And so I had to walk my own, like walk the location to somewhere nearby that I knew that okay, he would still agree with. But then I still left it to the hands of the so I walked it to a nearby state, but left it in the hands of the officials to work the to post me to
Exactly.
the particular local government. Yes. So
Mm,
luckily the local government was also close by, so I was going home every weekend, right?
mm,
Because even though it would have loved me to be going every day, transportation, not even in terms of money alone, but even in terms of security, like going back and forth, like a 2 hours journey is just not, maybe not worth it, especially if they have accommodation. So it was during that period, during those weekdays, I was able to visit many schools. And then, okay, when I was able to, God did that part. I was able to get that freedom during the week to do the things I really wanted to do. Then there was the aspect of being at work, but then schools are only open while I'm at work. So I was also able to find opportunities there by being knowing how to negotiate. I think there's a way also you can behave, carry yourself, and then through the help of God, praying out as well, you find favor um, with those around you. I mean, in the hands of those around you, you find favor in their sight.
yeah.
So I'm not sure
When
how
a
to
man's way
explain that,
pleases the
but
Lord, it makes even his enemies to be at peace with him.
yes. So those are some of the things I can
I think
say.
I pretty much love what you are sharing. How many of you are learning from this? If you are learning, just that I'm learning. You see, the way you are giving answers to this, you are a very intelligent woman. I must confess this, Igbogo. The way you have given
Thank you.
answers to this question, it was a very big event too. In fact, the answers you have given now, I prefer it so much more than the answers that was given at that event by top speakers, by global leaders. Because while they were talking, they were like, okay, they shared a couple of thoughts, but the perspective you have brought in is so wonderful. It's so wonderful. Thinking positively so that your mind can be open to receive ideas, receive different pathways through which you can get that thing done. It's one of the most powerful
Yes.
answers ever give to anybody because you that is looking for events to attend, you want to do projects, you want to do passion and purpose, and the people around you are not aligned you. And you too, you have a very warped mentality. All right, you talk anyhow, you do things anyhow,
Yeah.
and then you are expecting them to say them. I remember someone then, one of my uncle then, he doesn't go to church, but the wife goes to church all the time. You know those women that used to sit at the front, they'll bring anointing oil home or hand. So I remember each time my uncle's wife will preach to my uncle will be like, if you enter heaven, me, I go don reach there. If that is the criteria that God uses to take people to heaven, before you go enter, I go don enter, tey. I didn't understand what he meant until many years after because I was still very young. I was around 15 to 10. Many years later, I now really understood that, oh, it meant your character is bad. You are like this, you are like that, and you are telling me to what?
Yeah.
Come to heaven. Which heaven are you going that you want to take me to? You get it. So that positivity is very important to help others around you also see that goodness. And then you have also said, be the best that you can be. Become the best version of yourself and you become enviable. And whatever it is that you want to do, they will buy into it. Many of us, we struggle to get, and then you also spoke about peculiarity. Understand your peculiar situation and you would always find a way around it. Yes, somebody
Yes.
saying manner of
Yes.
approach, important. Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Gogo, for that. It's really beautiful. So I want to ask you around habits. Productivity coach, tell us about the habits in which you had built earlier on in life or possibly okay, so when you answer that, I also want you to answer this other one because I'm very big on habits. I wrote a book, Automate Your Growth, and I've also organized program Building Habit Challenge over time. I'm very, very big on habit formation. I was just looking at a couple of people today when I went to the market. and I was habit came back to heart. I'm like, these people are behaving like because of habit. So I like you to answer this in two ways. Tell us the habits you wish you had built earlier, all right, as a young girl, and tell us the habits that you have built over time that you think is the most beautiful of all that you love so much that is really helping you right now. You can share two or three with us, or even one, whichever one you want to share. So start from the first question. And please, if you have
Okay.
any question for this Bogo, you can start typing in the room. We have 30 more minutes to go. All right, go ahead.
Okay. One habit I wish I had built is, I would say, the habit of learning to speak up for myself or learning
Shy,
to
you can
express
start saying
myself better. Yeah,
no.
learning to express myself better. So, being introverted, I would always fight in my head before I can do one thing, and that one thing may be just saying hi to someone, greeting someone,
Shy.
starting a conversation. So that's one habit I wish I had built earlier. It's something I'm still working on now, but I wish I started earlier to do that. So that have helped me in terms of networking. My
Mm,
circle may have been, I wouldn't say maybe the circle would have been bigger, but maybe I would have been able to bring more value, because even
okay.
though I have value to give, I know I have value. If you don't express it, nobody's going to know. So it's just recently I started learning about that. I think even after I graduated, I started learning so much about that oh, being quiet is
Mm,
is in a way
costing
to my own detriment. Yes. So
mm,
nobody's going to know about the value that you have to give if you don't
mm,
speak up, if you don't express yourself. So that's one
mm,
habit. And then um, a habit I've built that is helping me, that I've built over time and is helping me now. Okay, one is journaling.
okay. Okay.
Yes, yes, I love writing, so I journal a lot. Journaling both physically, now I'm trying to journal mostly
Do you have a
digitally,
structure
so
for
that
your journaling? Do you have a structure for your journaling? Like, do you have a process you go through that is quite result oriented?
I wouldn't say I have a structure. It's just, maybe I can't put it, I mean, list it out in structure, but basically, especially when I'm going through a tough time, or even when I am going through the, okay, maybe it can be different things. Maybe I'm experiencing something new. Like when I first got here, I was journaling about it a lot. When
Mm,
I'm going through a tough time, I journal about it as well. So while writing, I just pour down my thoughts first.
mm,
The way it is in my head, I write it down, and then I read it. Sorry about that. And then I read it myself.
mm.
So please let me put up this alarm.
Wow. Interesting conversation. Are you learning something? Achoma Ejiofor says interesting. Yeah, it's quite interesting. Who else is learning something beautiful here? Mm. Who else is learning? Become the best version of yourself. Who else is learning? Share your thoughts, share your ideas, share what you're learning in the comments. And if you do have any question, please do where to answer, ask your question. So go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So I would say the structure is what basically happens when I journal is I write down my thoughts, everything that's going on in my head. I
Mm,
pen it down. Then I read through what I wrote, and then I'm able to notice um, some gaps, or
okay.
I just get insights from those things I
Mm,
wrote. Maybe I wasn't supposed to think this way. If it was maybe a misunderstanding with someone, then I'm able to
mm,
know what my fault was in that
mm,
misunderstanding. If it was the way I reacted to something, then I know, oh, this is how I reacted to this thing the last time. So the next time a similar situation is happening, although not the same, I know that there's a pattern somewhere.
mm,
So I would say that's the structure to it. It just helps me to be very self aware and reflective.
mm. Interesting. Now I want to ask you, now that how was your dad able to cope when you were leaving Nigeria for Thailand? Since he's always looking forward to you being around, how was he able to cope?
Okay, I think it's the only one that can answer that question. But from my own perspective as a child, I would say he was quite comfortable, or is quite comfortable letting me go out of the country, but not travel within the country.
I
Okay,
thought
so
as
I
much.
think you already
I thought as
understand.
much. It feels that side is safer than yeah, okay, I understand now.
Yeah.
So one last question I want to ask you. How do you help a young person out there, young woman out there, who really needs to identify their values? Whether we like it or not, values are fundamental to how we live, how we behave, how we do our things, and how we can even begin to live a life of focus and purpose. So, how do you help a young person out there identify their values, even when they have actually imbibed or integrated the values of all other people around them? How do you now help them identify their unique values that can truly help them stand out? Have you taken that up before as a project, as a leader to teenagers and to young people?
What what I would say is how I can help them.
Is this a exam question now?
True. I'm thinking right now, like having such person, or maybe my younger self. Um,
Mm,
I would. It's a journey. It's a process.
okay,
So I would help them to first. I mean, I would tell them to be patient with themselves. So
okay.
just know that it's a journey, it's a process. If you've absorbed the values of everyone around you, or you've learned to live the way you were taught to live, it can be very difficult to even distinguish which is mine, what is my own
Mm,
identity. It even goes deeper into identity. What really is my own
mm,
identity? Am I just living um, the identity that other people have laid out for me to live? And I can relate to this because I was really much like a people pleaser earlier
mm,
on. So I would say be patient with yourself, then
mm,
gradually learn to distinguish through situations that happen to you, how you react to them. Gradually learn to distinguish what your values are and what maybe the values you've absorbed are. And then you have to talk to someone about it. Talking about it helps as well with a mentor, a coach, right? And then writing about it as well. And I think over time you'll be able to make that
mm,
distinction. But I would say it takes time and you have to be patient with yourself.
Interesting. On that note, we're good. We're good to go. Thank you so much, Bogo. One last thing I'd like you to share with the house is an exercise you think you should go ahead and carry out today that will help us to begin to really plan well for our future self. We have said the future is not an accident. It is not we cannot arrive there by accident. We have to be able to work our way through. And these are some of the powerful things we've shared all through this conversation. Living the life by design and not by default. So what is that one exercise? If we're going to take anything, I know you've shared a lot. We're going to take anything home today. What is that one exercise you think we should begin to practice so we can begin to design our future properly?
Okay, I think even to me, something that has been consistent in what I've shared today is the act of journaling. So
Mm,
I would say learn to journal, learn to write down your thoughts and go back, read them, and ask yourself what if it was a situation, for instance, misunderstanding, how you reacted to something. Ask yourself what can you do better, what can you improve on, how do you manage the things that are within your control. hope you don't dwell on the things that are outside of your control. So I think journaling really helps a lot with that. I have the books I've journaled in, and just going back to read them from years ago or even few months ago, I can see how very different my thought process is now to
How
back
long have you
then.
been journaling?
Since I've been writing generally since I was in like primary school. I just write about things that bother me. In fact, when I was very younger, that was and I had suicidal thoughts. It was through my writing that my parents got to know, right? But
Oh,
the when I
and
started
you journaled it.
schooling it, yes, I journaled it. I just wrote it
So
down. The
apparently,
reason
they were reading your journal. They were reading your thoughts.
I think for that particular one, I wrote it in a paper, just putting writing in books scattered around. So they found it. I don't know how they found it, and I mean, thank God they found it, because then they took it very seriously, and since then, um, they helped me through that process, and it was as a
Mm.
result of low self-esteem, which I had to walk through as well. So it's been quite long since when I was in primary school.
I'm really very curious about that before we go. So someone with a low self-esteem can even get to the level where they become suicidal. How does that even happen on the mind? Can you bring
Um,
down your thoughts? Like, what was it like up there that started to lead to that?
Okay. So mine started, it was as a result of, as a young girl, then it was my body. So
Mm.
I did not like how my body was. And I was fat, I was just big. And imagine I was young, I was just like, what, 10, 11, and I already had all of those feelings, and probably also because like some of the things my classmates say, young children and things like that. So I just felt bad about myself. I didn't feel confident, and so I couldn't speak up. So it's, who knows, maybe that's even where my introvertedness started from. I don't know. But yeah, because of that, I couldn't speak up for myself. I was just always afraid because I didn't feel like I was looking good enough. I didn't feel like I was pretty. I just hated my body. And then I started to, I was trying to get myself on diet. I would skip meals. I wouldn't eat. And then I was always falling sick and things like that. So gradually, it um, led to that point where I just felt like um, I can't continue feeling this way. I don't like how I feel. And I felt like everybody else did not care, because I also like to stay alone. I always stay
Mm.
in the dark, stay in. I didn't have a room to myself, but I would always, when everybody's in the sitting room, for instance, I would stay in the in the bedroom, and they just think maybe I'm doing my assignment or something like that. Nobody would bother to check, and so I think that idleness started bringing negative thoughts, bad thoughts, and
Mm.
yeah, I guess that's how it started. So, but I think it was still at the developmental stage, because there was no way I could bring myself to do anything serious. I remember trying to carrying a kitchen knife, but I couldn't do anything. I know that I couldn't bring myself to do anything. But yeah, when they saw my thought process and what I was feeling and all of that, they started keeping like to watching over me like every single time. So
Wow. You have shared pretty much a lot, and I really want to celebrate you, Josibogo, for this time, for this engagement. I know it's late right
thank
there.
you.
Thank you so much for coming around to share your thoughts, your ideas, your wisdom, your
Thank you
clarity,
so
and
much.
all of that with the focus female. I know that we're going to be raising a generation of the most intentional female out there in this very community by God's grace. And I really want to celebrate you for contributing your quota to this conversation. Ladies, have you
Thank you.
learned something? Have you learned? Look at this beautiful woman here. She's such an intellectual, a genius, personified. Thank you, Jessica. We want to
Thank you.
celebrate you. Thanks for coming around. We hope to have you again one of these days in the community. I think some of the things we're just sharing, I know we're going to discuss more. You can really come around to really share some more with us to really break them down. Even as a coach yourself, doing amazing things as a young girl. Like some will be like, I do not know enough. What am I going to recruit to this one? But you have the courage, the zeal, the wisdom to really begin to do this thing early, even as a student. And now you're thinking about taking it further. I think that's pretty profound. Starting early has a way of helping you build a kind of mileage that you cannot even get by reading any book. But by just deploying yourself in the place of service, you get to build those level of strength and wisdom. I want to celebrate you. I want to encourage you to keep going, keep
Thank
doing the
you.
work, keep showing up. The sky is your starting point now. It's no
Yeah,
longer the
thank you
beginning.
so much.
All right. Thank you for coming.
Thank
All right.
you.
Have an amazing, amazing day out there. Bye for now.
And you too. Bye.
Bye. All right, people. Yeah, 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 yeah. We've heard from Jesse Bogo and this is just the beginning. It's the second session, and we have learned a lot. If you're a parent here, I believe you've learned a lot from the introverted um, species of our humanness. Yeah, some of us are extroverted, some of us are in between. We've learned a lot on how we can begin to really navigate our future right now, designing it right now, not waiting for tomorrow. This is one way to be focused. Because a lot of us, we want to do so many things at the same time, but we're not really following the pathway of truly zoning in to begin to structure the life that makes a whole lot of sense. I believe the lessons you've learned from this logo is more than enough to help you pick one or two ideas. If you like to watch this video again, that's fine. Pick one or two thoughts that you can simply begin to implement it. Where are those in the room? I see Esther Gochi. Are you still here? Shoma is still here. Um, Shoma says, I say no to low self-esteem. Beautiful. I say no to low self-esteem. What else? What else have we learned? So we're going to open the WhatsApp group as usual for you to go there and share your thoughts, share your lessons that you've learned from our amazing leader, Mr. Global, all the way from Thailand, sharing our wisdom with the community. Thank you so much, my leaders. Thank you so much, my ladies. I love you all. I will see you by 8 p.m. We have another session coming up by 8 p.m. by Faith Obuje, the woman on fire. So we're going to have her by 8 p.m. Have an amazing day, everyone. Bye.